close to that border of where those storms could be. Of course, this is not a measured amount of storm energy. This is an estimated by a model, so it may be a bit off on where that exactly is. And the thing is, it doesn't update quite as frequently as radar does, so if that's the boundary there. The tornado is very close, the potential for a tornado to develop on this side of this particular thunderstorm. It's very close to there in Tate County, where we saw that that border of the severe wind and severe parameters there. Memphis, of course, you are well downstream of this thunderstorm, but we're starting to see some light rain around the area. I want to take a look from the Midtown camera. If I jump over here, I'll have to scoot off camera briefly, but I'll be right back as we're seeing some pretty intense clouds starting to roll through. These clouds, of course, could be bringing some severe thunderstorm characteristics in the next 45 to 30 minutes at the very earliest there, as we could see some of those storm winds arriving shortly. And whenever we talk about these kind of storm winds, they can sometimes lead to some pretty strong, pretty widespread damage, of course, but 60-mile-per-hour winds is on the lower end of this as well, so that can lead to some very isolated pockets of severe winds. So I'm going to jump back on the screen here. The camera was not operating properly, so I apologize for that. But as we look at the other threats with this area here, we have widespread flash flooding expected through most of our eastern viewing area on up to the Nashville area too. So that's where we're seeing some of the flash flooding. This is where we have a present severe thunderstorm warning. Also, we've got very heavy rainfall across northeast Arkansas with another layer behind that, another wave of storms all pushing in. This is going to be the case over the next couple of days, wave after wave of rain. We may start to see that reduce the threat as well of the heavy rainfall tomorrow afternoon. It's not going to be a continuous rain event. We will have some breaks, a time to relax and possibly clean up from previous storm damage as well. But with this thunderstorm warning, with a chance for 60-mile-per-hour winds, it has now been updated to 1-inch diameter hail in this area. So I want to get some information on that. I wonder if they did drop the tornado possible tag. It looks like they did drop that. This meteorologist Trevor Birchett is now joining me in studio. He'll be on as well very shortly here. But the latest update is 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-sized hail. So that is starting to reduce the threat. Notice that it looks a lot more sloppy now. On the backside of this, we've had some of the storm just sort of falling apart. It doesn't have that classic hook echo structure that we've previously seen with that storm as it's starting to move towards the Hernando area. It's still moving very quickly, so at the very least, the heavy rainfall will be arriving in Hernando very soon. This is moving at around 55 miles per hour, so I want to put that track on there for you. 55 miles per hour. We've got that storm just right on that leading edge. We'll put it up towards the northeast, and we'll include Collierville in the extended track. So Arkabutla, you're looking at the lower lobe of this storm arriving in your area around 6:45, we'll call it there. Days are looking at around 6:47. Horn Lake around 6:52. Alphaba around 6:58. Olive Branch, you're looking at around 7 o'clock for the heavy rainfall to be coming through. You'll see some light rain, then the heavy rain will develop. Eventually, Germantown will be in this at around 7:10, 7:15. Same time frame for the Collierville area there. This storm has some pretty intense thunder and lightning with it as well. We've got other thunderstorms up past Earl to Marked Tree. Of course, the Marked Tree area also had a couple of close blows with tornadoes yesterday. And we're starting to see another line of storms rolling in into some of our eastern Arkansas viewing areas. So Cross County, St. Francis County, Lee County, going to be seeing some more thunderstorms. Of course, you just had this first wave coming through. You've got another wave coming in right behind that as well. Looking at this particular thunderstorm, we do have an abundance of lightning, though it is not an incredibly dense area of lightning, and they have dropped that tornado possible tag from that as well. I want to just look at the velocity here. It's starting to look like it was just contaminated by side lobe contamination. When we say that, the radar looks out at one spot, but it's not a perfect laser beam. It can have some extra radiation that goes off to the side. So when it's looking over here, there's a little bit of radiation that is getting picked up there as well. And when it's looking here, it's still looking over there a little bit. So when we have the beam looking at this zone, it's picking up some hail that is right around in here. And that extra noise makes the radar think that it's much faster there. So that's what the side lobe contamination is. Ordinarily, we would be very concerned about this being a tornado couplet, but it does not look like that's the case with this particular storm. We've got meteorologist Trevor Birchett in the Weather Center right now. And Trevor, what are your thoughts on this particular thunderstorm just on the south side of Memphis right now?
Yeah, Kit, great job keeping an eye on that. I was kind of keeping an eye on it from my desk out there in the newsroom while I updated some stuff on our website. Of course, it's been a busy last 48 hours or so of extreme weather. We have several communities in the Mid-South that are really just beginning to clean up from a deadly string of tornadoes overnight last night. Many of you were here watching that with us. And I will tell you that, of course, today we do not expect it to be as anywhere close to as serious as what we saw last night. But there are still some storm ingredients in place that could mean some of these storms could pack a punch this evening and tonight. You're looking live at the Midtown camera from Southern College of Optometry. We're looking to the south and west as this storm kind of comes up from DeSoto County. We'll keep an eye on that, but as we switch back to the radar, I'll kind of show you. Really, we're watching these couple of storms in East Arkansas and then this storm in Northwest Mississippi. None of these are tornado warnings. We do not have any tornado warnings in the Mid-South. Many of us are under a tornado watch today until 10 p.m. That means just keep an eye on things, that could happen. But of course, again, that risk is not as high as it was yesterday. The thing is, though, kind of as Kit was saying and as the National Weather Service was saying, the same environment that was in place yesterday, some of those ingredients are still in place. So I think we're going to watch this storm just out of an abundance of caution because we saw what happened yesterday. And while the ingredients are not nearly as strong, some of those ingredients are still there. So we're going to watch this with a cautious eye. But for right now, the biggest concern is some high wind gusts and hail. As we put this into motion, you see it over the last 2 hours zipping off to the north and east. This thing is moving at about 60 miles an hour. Of course, that's also going to make the wind faster as that storm comes in. So an early heads up for you in DeSoto County, South Haven, Nesbitt, Hernando, down to Love, Arca Butler, kind of already getting it. And I know Kit did a track on this just a little bit ago. But as this moves a little closer to Shelby County and begins to move through DeSoto County, I do want to track it out for you one more time. Off to the north and east at about 55 miles an hour. So again, we'll track that out there. Horn Lake by about 6:43, so it's really coming in right now. The worst of it, though, the heaviest rain, the hail potential, and the high winds, probably a little south of you. South Haven by about 6:45, Olive Branch at 6:54, Collierville by 7:05, Piperton at 7:08, Byhalia by 7:12. So again, I want to reemphasize because I know a lot of people are scared after last night's thunderstorms, and understandably so. That was a rough round of storms that thankfully we only see something like that every few years. Those setups are very rare. We do not expect this to be as bad as what we saw last night, but again, some of these could be strong. Tons of lightning with this cell coming into DeSoto County. You see in just the last couple of minutes, just about 60 strikes of lightning there, and again, that's right over Arca Butler Lake. And moving off to the north and east. Definitely some darkening skies there as those storms continue to come off. A little bit of hail possible. Kit was kind of just talking about that and talking about the hail tracks. We had some really big hail yesterday. Some areas reported up to golf ball sized hail. I do not anticipate that this time, but this storm does have a history of producing some hail. And that is still a possibility as it comes off to the north and east. So as you're in DeSoto County, just be aware a little bit of hail and some high wind gusts are possible. I want to zoom in here, and I'm going to just investigate this storm with you because, again, there is a lower tornado potential today, but it is still one we're going to have to watch. This is still a severe weather threat day, a level 3 out of 5. And while there's not a tornado warning yet, these things can happen quickly, just like we saw last night. So as we kind of look inside the storm, we're looking at the winds inside the storm, the direction and the speed. Different colors just indicate different direction of the wind. And then the brighter the colors, the faster the winds are going. Just glancing at this, and kind of, Kit was mentioning this a bit ago, nothing in there right now that's indicating a tornado. I do see some indications of some very high wind right over Arca-Butler and coming up to southern DeSoto County. And this is kind of some of the outside wind gusts coming into the storm, but we could easily see wind gusts in here, probably reaching the ground of 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. So even though this is not a tornado concern right now, we definitely have some high wind gusts that could lead to some power outages as this comes up in Hernando. And again, I want to track this out one more time as it approaches Hernando, because this is really the zone that's going to be the strongest part of the thunderstorm. South Haven's going to get rain, Horn Lake is going to get rain, but it won't be anything extremely heavy there. This part of the storm that I'm tracking out now, this is the very heavy rain, this is the very high wind, and the potential for some hail. That's over Arca-Butler essentially right now. Hernando, about 650. So I know a lot of people are just trying to get home from work. Hernando, I would hunker down by about 6, pretty much right now, because in the next 5 minutes, this storm is going to be on top of you. Fairhaven by 7:03, Cockram at 7:09, Ingram's Mill at 7:12. Something else I want to do is zoom out here and kind of give a really long heads up. I normally don't do this because storms, they can change their motion, they can change their speed, and they can change their intensity. But I do want to give an early heads up to the folks out in Sladen, in northern Marshall County, in LaGrange, in southern Fayette County, and in Grand Junction in Hardeman County. Those areas were hit extremely hard by a tornado last night. We had fatalities reported, unfortunately, in Fayette County, and we have video and photos coming in from those areas of just awful damage. And I know it's been raining for most of the day, but it is dry out there now, and we likely have some folks out there that are trying to begin to pick up the pieces. I mean, literally, these people are out there trying to find photos, mementos, anything they can salvage from their home that is no longer there after last night's storms. And so I'm going to give a 30 to 45 minute heads up to those areas. This storm could change direction a little bit, but for Fayette County and northern Marshall County, those areas that were hit really hard last night, you have another storm coming in that is going to make you head inside. Lightning, hail, high wind gusts as that storm rolls your way. Again, this is not a tornado potential right now. We are in a tornado watch, but this storm is just producing very high wind gusts. And again, that is going to be in northern Marshall and Fayette County, the areas hit hard by last night's storms. In the next little bit. For Tate County, another area hit very hard. We had a tornado near Senatobia, kind of between Senatobia and Cockram. And then that tornado continued over I-22 as well in Marshall County. This storm will be north of you, but there's probably a lot of lightning in that area right now, so you should still probably head inside. We'll get back to Kit here in just a second, but I want to talk about another threat that is developing today, and that is the extreme flash flooding threat. We have had serious concerns with flash flooding developing through the day. And as a matter of fact, I just want to show you if I can pop in here and find the rainfall totals. Might give me just a second to search that graphic up. But just in the last 24 hours, look at these rainfall amounts that are across the Mid-South. Memphis, 6 inches of rain across the metro into DeSoto County, close to 7 inches in Fayette County. Other areas just in the last 24 hours picking up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches of rain. But it seems like we've gotten the heaviest right here in the metro. That's where those rain totals have really amped up. And we already saw the flooding developing last night. It rained through most of the day today. I had to turn around on a couple of roadways on my way into work because of the flooding. We had some on Summer Avenue, and then I get off at Shelby Oaks, and I could not go down Shelby Oaks because it was covered in water. And that is the most important thing. If you do see a flooded roadway, don't try to drive through it. Sometimes there are, washed out areas under there that you can't see because they're covered up by the water. There are plenty of roadways around the Mid-South. There are so many alternate routes. Give yourself that extra 5 minutes and just find a way to turn around. But we have more rain on the way tonight, showers tomorrow, and then another round of heavy rain on Saturday. We could add another 4 to 6 inches on top of this, and that's going to be a big issue for the creeks, for for the streams and for those smaller rivers, especially the ones in neighborhoods, they're already moving very quick. If you go out and look at those things, they are flying with water, just getting so filled up with all this rain, and we have more to come. Eventually, those will come out of their banks, and that's why we have these flood watches, these flash flood warnings in effect across the Mid-South, because flooding is such a serious concern. But again, the reason we're with you right now is a severe thunderstorm warning coming into DeSoto County, this storm producing some hail and high wind gusts. And we're going to get back over to meteorologist Kit Thomas now. He's been watching this storm from the beginning as it developed out of Tunica County. Kit, you've been watching it for the last little bit. What do you see now, and what do you think this thing's going to do?
Yeah, I want to add one quick thing to what you were just saying. You said there's already over 6 inches of rain at the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're expecting another 6 to 8.
Man.
So with the current forecast, we were looking at a foot of rain or over a foot of rain here in Memphis, with additional rainfall across some of our northern viewing area as well. So just incredible amounts of rain on the way. Just wanted to emphasize that as well. So getting back to that severe thunderstorm warning here into northern Mississippi around DeSoto County, we've got that coming up right along the I-55 corridor here, Hernando, South Haven, anywhere in between or around that area. We've got that line of storm, of a storm rolling into the area. So Dean's Corner, you're under it right now. Lewisburg is downstream a little bit. You still have some time before that thunderstorm arrives, but the lightning is probably already there, as we see that lightning pretty intense, especially out in the clear zone. That's a pretty intense amount of lightning there in the clear zone of that thunderstorm right now. So this area is just an abundance of lightning. There's that old lyric that thunder only happens when it's raining. Not necessarily. We do see some abundant lightning out there, and that's of course ahead of the rain. So you might think, oh hey, it's not raining yet, the storm's not here, I hear the rumbles of thunder, but it's not even raining yet. Don't be fooled. It's something that can lead to some danger. Of course, a lot of people can still get struck by lightning. It's a rare statistic, but it is a statistic, so we don't want you to be caught outside waiting for that and get stuck in the lightning. Alphaba, you're going to see that lightning arrive presently. The lightning just struck right there north of Alphaba right as I spoke. Another one just downstream from there. So a lot of lightning with that storm. That is one concern. Of course, lightning can start fires. It can knock out power as well. And of course, it is a threat to your life as well. So I want to look at the relative velocity on this storm. And well, actually, I'm going to backtrack a moment. So let's start here looking just at this clear zone, Wheeler Road, right there through the lake there. We've got some down to near Coldwater. We've got an area of some very intense winds showing up right there. And then if we also switch over to our debris detector right around in that area, there's a lot of noise here. And we've talked about this a lot, that this would be debris, but it's not technically debris every single time it shows up. This could be noise in the clear air there. So maybe there's a bird flying, some insects, some dust getting kicked up as well. So that zone here, out ahead, if we swap back over to the velocity, that is what the this zone here is being picked up as extremely severe thunderstorm winds. I really don't think that that's the case. And we've mentioned it a couple of times that this could be what we call hail contamination, where the radar beam is looking through the hail that is right here just west of Hernando. And it's confusing the radar. Yes, it is blowing in, but it's picking up some noise from all of this. So I don't think we're going to be seeing the significant severe winds. That's what that is on this color table here. I don't think we're going to see that with this particular thunderstorm, though we could still see 60-mile-per-hour wind gust with it, as the present warning is. I don't think that that's going to be the main threat here. We have seen an extension of that severe thunderstorm warning. I had seen on the National Weather Service info that they were going to extend that. And they have. They've added the tornado possible tag back to this severe thunderstorm warning. So I'll pop that info back on your screen. But a quick rundown of some of these counties. Of course, parts of Shelby County is included within this thunderstorm warning. Severe thunderstorm warning for Shelby County, southern and southeastern Shelby County. All of DeSoto County is in this warning as well. Into parts of Tate County, you're right on the northern side of that. Marshall County, the northern half, north of Holly Springs. Of course, that's behind my cart here. Somerville, you're not technically within this warning. You're sort of downstream from it, but southern Fayette County is now included within that. So they're still looking at this environment, still capable of producing a tornado from this. And of course, even if these winds aren't necessarily 75-mile-per-hour winds, and it's range folded or hail contaminated, they're still understanding that even if it's an unstable environment, this storm could produce a tornado very, very quickly. So we do have our Facebook live stream up and our YouTube live stream as well. We're also streaming on our 24 Plus on Amazon Fire Stick and Roku, Apple TV. So we appreciate you joining there as well as on air. So if you have any comments or questions for us, as Trevor and I are alternating back and forth, we'll keep an eye on those chats. We'll try and do a better job today of answering your questions. As things are a little bit slower, it's still a severe event. We still need to treat it with caution over the next several hours, but it's not going to be quite as hectic as we saw yesterday. So we'll have a little more time to engage with you a little more. It's something we would like to do in a severe event, but sometimes we can't do it every single time. So someone's asking about Ripley, Tennessee. Ripley's not going to see quite as much of the threat up towards this direction. Trying to get, there we go. We aren't looking at a severe thunderstorm warning up towards Ripley, up here in Lauderdale County, but we do still have some heavy rain just upstream from you, so that'll be rolling in here very shortly. I want to investigate just a little bit more on this rotation that's possible with this storm. Again, this is still a bit of hail contamination, but we still see some of that outbound and inbound winds there showing up. So we'll just treat it as if this could drop a tornado in at some point. So if you're around Hernando, keep in mind what your tornado safety plan is. If you're downstream towards Lewisburg, Alphaba, Byhalia, keep in mind where you need to go. Let's just go ahead and review where you go whenever we are in a tornado warning. I'll move the cart out of the way so you can read some of this here. I hit the wrong button to do that. But tornado safety tips, of course, if you are in a home, a house structure, going to a basement, if you don't have a basement or any sort of outdoor storm shelter, the lowest level of your home and the smallest, most center room of your home. Staying away from all windows and doors. If you're in a hallway, that can be good if you don't have a closet, an interior closet, but make sure that you're in a part of the hallway that doesn't open to an exterior wall. Covering yourself is another thing to keep in mind. If you're watching on the couch or if you're watching at your bed, grab your pillow so you can cover your head with that. If you've got kids with helmets, a bike helmet, baseball helmet, football helmet, any of those, take those with you as well, because that can help prevent traumatic head injury as well. So we've got, for a high rise, if you are in a high rise, going to the lowest floor you can. Go to the office, see if they'll let you shelter in the office. Usually that's on the first floor, or the gym, or some sort of interior low-level structure. Interior stairways are also very, very good. They're very strong and sturdy, that part of the building. So those are the areas we need to keep in mind as we're talking about the potential to need to take shelter across this area here. Looking at the structure of the storm, Trevor, it is starting to get that more classic supercell structure now. As I was looking at some of the environment parameters for this, we do have some instability just south of Memphis into northern Mississippi. You got some info?
Yeah, I was just kind of investigating the storm a little bit while you were talking, kind of going into more of a scientific, zoomed-in analysis. And you mentioned it does have that look to it that we saw a lot yesterday. Not to say that this will be anything like this, but that's just the classic look for a storm that could produce a tornado. And when I'm watching here, I'm going to switch to the wind mode. And Kit had mentioned earlier that some of these really bright colors, they are probably radar artifacts. That's probably not how fast the wind is. But there's been a little zone that I am watching just south of Hernando. There's actually a couple of zones in here. I'm watching, let's see if I can get my arrow back. This one right here near Robinson Gin, but another one down here right over Arca Butler. Those are both zones, probably actually this one more than anything. That's actually rotating the wrong direction for most tornadoes. But that right there near Robinson Gin, just the last scan, I'm going to bump it back one more right there. Can you see that? Right in there. that is what we would look for some rotation. I know a lot of this is hard to tell what you're looking at. Again, we're just looking at the wind. This over here is really bright. That's indicating fast winds, but that's probably the radar just having an issue with trying to figure out what exactly is going on. I don't think the winds are actually that fast, but this right here, kid, and tell me what you think. I mean, it's something that, we have those red and green pixels right together, and then it continues off to the north. A little bit of a more interesting look there. That's not technically a classic rotational signature, but I think more so in the last scan as we go back to right there over Robinson Gin. Coming into Hernando, I don't have any indication that this thing is producing a tornado right now, but I think that is an indication that that is a zone we're going to have to watch very carefully for the next 5-10 minutes, because we are in an environment that still has a lot of those tornado ingredients. I'm going to zoom out and show you some of the storm energy that we've been watching. And notice it's kind of riding off to the north now. We have a lot of storm energy that's come back out of North Mississippi. That storm energy cleared out last night, and then through the day it's been inching further and further back up. And what we saw last night was some of the strongest tornadoes that we had happened right on that leading edge, that front edge of where that storm energy was surging back further north. That helps to provide a little bit more uplift for storms to develop and turn strong. So I know as you look at this particular storm energy product, it looks like Hernando's kind of on the clear side of it with stronger energy to the south, but as that pulls north, that can sometimes add a little extra spin and a little extra energy to produce a quick tornado. Again, I don't want to get you worked up and scared, especially after last night and what happened. But some of these ingredients are still present for some tornadoes. We could have a couple of, especially a couple of quick ones through the day today. So we're going to keep watching Hernando. Hail reported now at exit 280. I believe that's the 304 exit to get off at downtown Hernando, I believe. If my numbers are right there. I grew up in DeSoto County, so I'm trying to do the mile marker numbers in my head going down 55. But somewhere in Hernando right there at exit 280, nickel-sized hail just about 10 minutes ago. And so that area of hail is probably a little closer to Lewisburg on 269 at 305. But we know there's rain, we know there's wind, we know there's hail, we know there's lightning, and a lot of it. And that's moving through Olive Branch, Lewisburg areas of DeSoto County. Just a new report now from the DeSoto County EMA of some pea-sized hail at Holly Springs and Jaybird Road. That's going to be right there, kind of in that same area, Kit.
Yeah, and I've been reviewing the Facebook Live and YouTube Live comments, so chat, want to address you. We've got a few location requests. First up, Atoka, just north of Millington here. Atoka, no rain right now. This storm is moving south of you and away from you. So Atoka not under the threat of this severe thunderstorm warning, though we do have, if you look back towards Turl here in Crittenden County, we've got some thunder showers that are rolling in, so it'll likely be pretty noisy here within the next half hour at least. We also have a couple of requests here around DeSoto County into Marshall County here. So the South Haven, it was Olive Branch was requested here. Olive Branch, we're looking at some of that heavy rainfall. You'll probably hear some, at least according to the previous report, of nickel-sized hail, maybe dime to nickel-sized hail within that zone there around the Olive Branch. I'll get that on the camera here for you so you can see where you're at there. Olive Branch right here. You're seeing that heavy rainfall, of course, probably some frequent lightning as well. And then Byhalia was also requested just down the road here. We've got that chance for that thunderstorm to roll through. So looking back towards the Hernando area, that's where Trevor was showing you that possible couplet or the possible rotation there. I think he hit the nail on the head of what the National Weather Service was looking at for why they have that tornado possible tag on there. So good eye, Trevor, on that. So Byhalia, just judging by the motion of this storm, I would say you're sort of in the zone where we could see, one, the heavy rain and hail threat potential, but then if we are looking at that as a possible hook, that could roll through the Cockrum to Byhalia area. At least that appendage of the storm will. We can't say for certain if a tornado will drop or not, but of course Byhalia, if you're in Byhalia, keep that in mind where you're looking at for any potential development, knowing where your safe place is, knowing what to bring to your shelter as well. So Hernando is also a spot there. Was reporting there was some hail just north of downtown Hernando. They say it was small hail there, so I would presume that to be non-severe. If it was small hail, maybe pea-size to half-inch size is usually what people estimate small hail to be. So that's some good news that we haven't seen large hail just yet. Of course, whenever we have some of these places around the I don't know where that thought was going. All right, sorry about that. Of course, here we have this wide severe thunderstorm warning. Of course, we've been talking about that chance for some hail. I want to see if they've updated the text to reduce the hail size. Yeah, it's down to quarter-sized hail. At one point in this storm's history, they had warned it for up to golf ball-sized hail, but they've dropped it down progressively to half-dollar size hail, which is about 1.25 inches across, and down to a quarter size hail. So that's about 1 inch of diameter. So we've got some indications that this storm has some pretty intense lightning as well. I want to show that for you because we've been talking about the hail threat, or the hail threat and the tornado threat, but the lightning threat I feel is one that we also have to be aware of with these storms. But it looks like it's actually reduced the lightning in the last few minutes here. If we just scan this back, we might just be having some data loading issue, but back here we had some pretty frequent hail. Trevor, if you look at your computer just to see if my computer is lagging a little bit, but it doesn't look like it's producing as much lightning, which is usually an indication that the hail and the icing side of that storm has reduced greatly. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll see when Trevor has that info for me.
I think it's accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look back at those other storms, it seems like, it's still showing the lightning accurately. We have to watch this, though, because if you remember last night, we lost data. The National Weather Service had a power outage, so you kind of have to double-check the data, make sure what you're seeing is accurate. But it does seem like the lightning might be trying to come down on this storm, which is hopefully a sign it will try to weaken just a little bit. But definitely some hail reported in Hernando, probably coming into Lewisburg, maybe north of Lewisburg on 305 up toward Olive Branch. And Kit's been doing a great job tracking that storm as it moves off to the north and east. This particular area that has the severe thunderstorm warning is going to really miss most of Memphis. It's going to be south of Collierville toward Piperton. But Memphis, we are getting heavy rain and some thunder. We just heard some here at the studio in northeast Memphis. This is just going to add more rain. That's what I'm more concerned about right now. I don't have a severe weather concern for the city of Memphis at this second. What I'm concerned about is the heavy flooding rain and the heavier rain that's coming in now that's just going to add more insult to injury. I want to give you kind of an early heads up as Kit is doing a great job tracking this thunderstorm. We do have a couple of more storms coming in from the west. We've got some storms from Wynn down to Forest City and Mariana along Highway 1 and some very heavy thunderstorms in Mississippi County, Arkansas. Neither one of those storms are severe, even some storms down toward West Memphis and Marion. None of that is severe, and it's kind of a little too far north for it to be really severe today. Can't rule it out, but I wouldn't be incredibly concerned about these storms over here in eastern Arkansas as they move into West Tennessee. The severe weather threat today is highest in North Mississippi, so that's the zone we're going to watch. And with that being said, I am watching this other storm back here that has a really, really classic look to it. I mean, that looks like some of the thunderstorms we were tracking last night. It does not have a tornado warning on it, but I'm going to zoom into it. And this is out of our viewing area technically, but I just want to give you an early heads up. This is near Star City, Arkansas, south of Pine Bluff. It's got that classic supercell look to it, as it comes into the south and then the winds this way come to the north, you get some rotation right there. And as we switch over to the rotation mode, the wind mode, there is definitely some rotation in here. Just to the north of Star City. That is a zone right in there that is probably showing some signs of rotation. So no tornado warning on that right now, but I do want to give you just an early heads up as we generally track it off to the north and east as it is going to approach our area. Again, who's to say what this storm is going to do in the next hour or two as it approaches, but it is moving northeast at 55 miles an hour. Regardless of what it's going to do, I at least want to give you the heads up that it's generally coming in. That would put it into Helena, West Helena by about 8:16, Senatobia by about 9 o'clock, and then South Haven and Memphis within the 9 o'clock hour. So again, that storm could completely go away in the next hour or two, but I just have my eye on it because it is a very impressive looking thunderstorm. And if it can tap into that storm energy a little bit, we could see that one try to produce a tornado as it approaches. So again, by Helena, West Helena in about an hour, and then Memphis and DeSoto County and even Tate County, Crittenden County and Tunica County as well by about 9 o'clock. So Kit, I'll get things back over to you for a check-in on that DeSoto County storm, but that storm down there really has my eye near Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And if it holds together, it's going to be coming into our area pretty soon.
Yeah, a little while ago, the National Weather Service was indicating that sort of as being our next downstream threat. We'll see when it arrives. But I want to go through some Facebook comments. Of course, we got a recent report from Charles. I appreciate that, about some quarter-sized hail around Byhalia Road and Jaybird Road. So appreciate that. I sent that over to the National Weather Service so they can affirm that report as well. Melissa also said it was dime-sized hail in Hernando. Then we've also got some YouTube comments here. The Bartlett-Arlington area, how bad? Bartlett and Arlington, you're on the very outskirts of that warning, if not even just outside of the warning. So Bartlett, Lakeland, Arlington, of course, this whole region barely seeing any rainfall right now as the scan comes through and updates it. We just see a few scattered showers right there. We are going to see sort of this strip of very heavy rainfall across East Memphis and South Memphis down near the airport, Whitehaven area, seeing some heavy rainfall at the moment. And then my eyes are drawn back to this next storm here across West Memphis and to Crittenden County. That could be moving up towards Arlington within the next half hour or 45 minutes or so. So that's what I would say. Someone else on YouTube asking about Memphis. Of course, we're seeing those storms right now here across the area. Some infrequent lightning. Still always want to treat lightning carefully as we're seeing these storms rolling through. So downtown Memphis, right through here, we've seen some break in the rain right now. Midtown, not a whole lot. I'd say the East Memphis area here, down to around the Colonial area, Seattle Park. Not a whole lot happening at the moment. We can zoom in all the way to see where that heaviest rain has been occurring recently. Airways Boulevard, Park Avenue, basically East Memphis, and then down towards the southwest is where we've got this strip of heavy rainfall, but that'll be eventually moving towards Oakville and down towards the Knight Arnold Road and Seattle Road area there. Eventually we could see that running across the southern end of Mount Moriah Street. Mendenhall as well could be seeing the heavy rainfall eventually. Germantown, you're downstream from this, Germantown behind me there, so I'll scoot that into view. Germantown, you're sort of up next along the Germantown Parkway up to Cordova for this next batch of some heavy rainfall. So appreciate everyone who's watching. We've got a Cordova question. Let's take a look at our Cordova camera here. Looks pretty dark. We've got, this is from Hope Church, if you know where Hope Church is. The clouds are pretty dark right now, but it doesn't look like a terrible amount of rain is coming in just yet. Of course, cars running down the street there. Nothing major as far as impacts in Cordova at the moment, though that could still change, so we always want to be aware of that. So I appreciate some of those comments there that are coming in. So if you still need some information, we will bring that to you as well. As we go over the next several hours, it looks like I'll quit saying that, as we've got an update on this severe thunderstorm warning, just as I see that box flashing there. That severe thunderstorm warning still has the tornado possible tag on it. I think they just, Trevor, did they just basically trim the back end of that?
Yeah, just a little bit. I might have trimmed a little bit of it out of Memphis. We told you that this particular storm was going to miss Memphis. I know that Memphis is getting a storm right now, but not the one that has the severe thunderstorm warning on it. This is going to be more of a DeSoto County toward Collierville. So yeah, I think what they did is just kind of cleaned up the backside of it and cleared out some of those areas that don't need to be in the warning anymore. I think that's going to be like Horn Lake, Lake Cormorant, Eudora, Love. Those areas kind of got clipped out of that warning as the storm has now passed you.
We've got another viewer comment about Walls, Mississippi. Walls is just right on the very, sort of in a quiet zone. So Walls, you're doing pretty well up there in northwestern DeSoto County. Nothing happening just yet, but we do have more storms on the way. So we'll still see rain and more rain over the next several hours. Looking back towards, say, Marianna, Arkansas, motion could bring that through Walls very quickly. So, Summer, sorry I missed your comment there at the last moment that I was on, but I'm going back and forth. Of course, as soon as I answer one person's location, everybody asks about their spot. So happy to do it. We've got the time to do it, so I'm happy to have that engagement with y'all. But if you could help me out, give when you have your city name, also give your, if you can, your county, or at least give the state abbreviation there as well. That'll help me out pretty quickly. Atoka, I mentioned Atoka recently. I'll go back up there. Atoka, you've started to see some of those showers from Tennessee moving in. It's not in quite yet, but we'll keep that in mind here across the area as well. Trevor?
I'm just looking at this radar, and this storm is looking less impressive. I think we might have been right about the lightning coming down. We saw the lightning count decrease on that storm. That's usually a sign that it's weakening. But, Kit, I mean, take a look at the radar. It does not look nearly as strong as it was a little bit ago. Still a heavy thunderstorm, but if that continues, that warning could be dropped here soon. It doesn't look to me like it is producing as strong of hail as it might have been a little bit ago. We'll watch it, but definitely not as concerning as it might have been a bit ago. I think the thing we're still watching is this storm back near Pine Bluff, Arkansas. That seems to be one that could be moving into our area and could tap into some of those storm ingredients there. Again, that's south of Pine Bluff. That's going to be up into Phillips County, Arkansas, Lee County, Tunica County within about the next hour. So that's going to kind of be the next one to watch. If this storm in DeSoto County does kind of do its thing and fade away, we will probably just keep an eye on that one. Something to note today, it does look like kind of as storms move further north, they're probably going to lose a little bit of that intensity, and that goes back to where our storm energy is. The reason our weather is so crazy right now, and the reason that we're stuck in this pattern, is because we have this stationary front that's kind of stuck right over us. Normally, we have a cold front that comes in, we get storms for one night, and then the cold front clears out, and it's sunny the next day. That's not what's happened here. It started that way yesterday. That cold front approached the area, but then the cold front got stuck. We call that a stationary front. It usually doesn't happen too much with severe weather setups like this. This usually happens with just plain old rain, but so it's a little rare to see it like this, where we then end up with multiple days of severe weather. So now that frontal boundary and this stationary front is kind of stuck right over us. So on the south side of the front that I just drew, you have all the storm energy, the juice for thunderstorms to develop. Up to the north, storms can't really get their act together. Yes, it's raining up there, it's stormy up there, but the severe weather threat is unlikely, less likely, let's say, north of that front. And I think we're kind of seeing that right now. Now, something to note over the next few days is that this front is going to bounce around a little bit. Through the day tomorrow, that front is going to lift up to the north. Now, our storm probability will go down tomorrow, but any storm that does develop could be stronger. And then Saturday, it's going to kind of hang around in the area as well. And that is going to actually increase our severe weather threat again. So even though you might not be in the storm energy zone right now, be aware that this front is going to kind of move around the Mid-South a little bit. And then finally, Saturday night, it will come on through and clear us out. And we will be nice and dry by Sunday morning, and hopefully Kit and I can enjoy a rest day or two. I really appreciate everybody reaching out. We've gotten so many emails and comments and nice messages from folks that were with us through the night last night, wondering how we're still standing up and how we're back tomorrow. That's what we're here for. That's what we do. It's not easy, but we do it because we care, and that's what we're here for. So Kit and I are more than happy to be here and get through this with you. I know it's been a tough past 24 hours. We've got a little bit more rough weather to go, but we're going to continue to get through this, and we will all be able to rest well when it is done, Kit.
I'm going to be scheduling myself a massage on Sunday.
You certainly deserve it. You certainly deserve it.
You deserve one too.
Yeah.
So we got a couple more comments here. I appreciate some specificity on your location. We don't need your exact address. Someone asking about southern Marshall County. Is this going to be impacted by this possible tornado cell? So southern Marshall County is not in the warning, so that's some good news for you. You can rest easy for now. It's just the northern part of Marshall County where we have that severe thunderstorm warning right now. We've got a couple other comments. I missed someone asking about Collierville a moment ago, and I want to give you a heads up. I believe it was Kari, was it? I'm sorry, I've lost your comment here. I want to give you a shout out. I apologize. I missed it on air earlier, but anyhow, Collierville, we're starting to see some of the heavy rain moving in. It's just moving right across 385. So look back towards Olive Branch here, the Olive Branch area. We were talking about you earlier. You've got it right now. We're seeing that moving into Collierville as well. Cordova, some light rainfall there. Up towards Memphis, things have started to shift back towards the Midtown area. You can see it is right there, Overton Park right in there as well. Some very heavy rainfall coming down at the moment. Looks like we're getting a new scan coming around here on the radar site. Latasha, thank you for your kind words as well. Horn Lake, Mississippi, also looking for that area. Oh goodness. Trevor, what county is Horn Lake in?
Horn Lake's in DeSoto.
DeSoto, okay.
We'll forgive you. Kids new around here. See, I have the luxury. I grew up here. I lived in DeSoto County for 26 years, so I'm happy to be a little geography nerd.
Goodness.
You're learning quick.
I'm going to let you take that because I can't find it here on the map here. It's not showing up.
Yeah, I don't know. We have issues with some of our labels on the map. It's just to the west of South Haven, so if you see South Haven and zoom in there, it's really close to South Haven, so that's probably why the two labels won't pop up at the same time. But yeah, you're right over it. That's Horn Lake. Yeah,
Horn Lake, South Haven. Yeah. All right, so I would give the all clear there for Horn Lake. South Haven Center is also clear as that storm has already moved on. Olive Branch, you're on the last branch of that storm there as well. So everything starting to look a little more intense towards the southern parts of Fayette County here. So Collierville past the I-269 corridor to Moscow. We've got the heavy rain up for you next. As we're coming up to 7:19, there's about 10 minutes left on this particular warning, and it's beginning to move out of the core of Shelby County. The core of Shelby County and Memphis never really had the main threat from this, but Trevor, I'm going to just put a bug in your ear, a motion to drop off air shortly. Either early from the warning or at least write it out to the next half hour. I'll let you communicate with anyone if we need to.
Yeah, well, I'll go take care of that.
All right, thank you so much. Looking up to the north, though, as just that tornado possible tag, we still want to just be cautious of it, but it looks like that tornado possible tag has been dropped from this storm. So that is also, a correction, it is still present. I apologize for that. But looking here up towards the I-55 corridor across Mississippi County, some fairly heavy rainfall there, but this is well removed from what Trevor was showing you and explaining so well. That storm energy across northern Mississippi, we've got barely any across this area. Now, you might think, well, if there's no energy, why is there a storm? There's a very little bit. It can still produce heavy rainfall as it's more stratus clouds rather than cumulonimbus clouds that go up into those tall billowing towers there. Our ABC share is going to re-air in case we are on for long. Unfortunately, we can't rebroadcast those. Some programs are on streaming platforms, I believe, such as Hulu. Hulu sometimes will rebroadcast some shows. We can't promise all shows are on there. I do apologize. This is part of our job. We have to do this on air as the threats are present, but We'll try to direct you to where you can find those shows if we need to. We're asking about Arlington, Tennessee. Arlington, we're seeing still some scattered showers, nothing really of severe limits at the moment. Earl, Arkansas. Earl, you're seeing a couple showers in your vicinity. Back towards your west there, though, things are quiet across county. But as we look back farther to the west, we've got some of these storms down here that Trevor was mentioning earlier, some possible rotation, some possible hail moving towards the DeWitt area. We may have to break back in for this storm as it gets closer to our areas there around Phillips County as well. So we'll keep that in mind. Back behind that, though, Trevor, just looking at the Arkansas radar, it's pretty sloppy. Like, we've just got a ton of sloppy in a good way, but it still just concerns me. We've got all of this minor convection just speckled through this area. We still see that sort of rush from the south around the Thornton area. Notice how it's all moving north rather than northeast. That tells me it's still low-level jet dominated. So that may still be a threat as that wave moves into our viewing area over the next couple of hours. I'll show you sort of what I'm looking at here. I'll just get a quick pause on that as these storms that are coming out of the south are eventually going to turn, not necessarily exactly to here, but they're going to turn from northward to northeastward and could come into our area. We'll see if that right turn produces more of a severe threat for us.
All right, Kit, I'll tell you what we're going to do here. We're going to go ahead and hop off the air just because for right now, we do not have any thunderstorms that are extremely serious. Now, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. I know I say that and people are like, well, it's bad at my house. I understand that, but it doesn't seem to us right now that there's anything incredibly serious. These are rough thunderstorms. These are storms that are high wind gusts, maybe a little bit of hail, but there's nothing right now that we haven't seen before. You know, these are thunderstorms like what happen all the time, nothing super unusual. So there is a severe thunderstorm warning that continues for Shelby, DeSoto, Fayette, Northern Marshall County. It seems like they're going to drop that down after this, so that severe thunderstorm warning might go away anyway. There is some heavy rain and high wind gusts near Collierville and Olive Branch. That's going to be coming into Fayette County in the next little bit. So a heads up for Fayette County. I just want to let you know that storm's coming there. There are other storms across the Mid-South that are heavy and strong, but that's the only one that is severe right now. We've got a lot of storms coming up through northeast Arkansas, and those are producing some high wind gusts and hail, but other than that, they don't have any warnings on them. Like Kit mentioned, we are going to have to watch the thunderstorms coming out of central Arkansas, especially that storm down near Pine Bluff. That's going to be in Lee and Phillips County probably within the hour. So we'll see. So they just extended that severe thunderstorm warning closer to us. So we'll be watching that storm very carefully. We are not going anywhere, but we're going to see what that storm does here in the next little bit. We are still under a tornado watch, at least parts of the Mid-South. They did drop Haywood County from that watch, but a good chunk of the Mid-South is still in the tornado watch. That includes all of North Mississippi, Memphis and Shelby County, that bottom row of counties in West Tennessee, and then Lee and Phillips County in Arkansas. And that's the zone where we still do have some ingredients in place where storms could be strong. Again, I do not think it's anything like last night, thankfully. That is a very rare event. That does not happen much. But we are going to be watching here through at least 10 o'clock, I would say, 10 or 11, for the potential of a couple of strong to severe thunderstorms. So while we are signing off air, we're going to send ABC 24 back to regular programming. We are going to continue our stream on the ABC 24 Plus app. This is a free app. You can download it on your TV and watch for free. You can find us on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. You can also find us on the ABC 24 app for your phone. So wherever you stream, even if you're on Facebook or YouTube, just search ABC 24. Again, that's on your smart TV as well. We will continue our coverage there if you would like extended coverage. But for right now, we'll send you back to regular programming. We'll see you back on ABC 24 as the situation warrants. We are continuing our coverage here on ABC 24 Plus. I'm meteorologist Trevor Birchett alongside meteorologist Kit Thomas. Kit, we've sent TV away, so they are back to their programming. Hopefully we don't get too many more angry emails, but I have a feeling we might have to check back in with them later because of this storm that's coming into Phillips County. That is a nasty looking storm. Definitely some hail and high wind gusts, but it's in that zone, Kit, where tornadoes are not out of the question today.
I saw that warning pop right as we were sending it back to break. Of course, we were telling people about that possibly moving in, but I'm glad we can give them on air a little bit of a break. Hopefully they can enjoy some of their shows here. I know we're coming up in the middle of them. I understand missing a show is annoying, and sometimes people want to just take their anger out at the guy wearing the tie on the camera. I apologize. We genuinely wish we could do that. Of course, we're glad that there's no major sporting event happening during this. I have covered the U.S. Open final shootout of the final putt for a tornado warning. It was an unfortunate timing, but this is the job that we have to do. You know, we have to grow a pretty thick skin whenever we're doing this kind of a job. But in serious, we do have this severe thunderstorm warning here. Again, it's on the fringe of our viewing area. Some pretty decent hail possibly within that storm. So where we're looking at for the hail, so you can identify it as well if we're not talking about it at any given point. Notice how we've got, obviously this is rain. You always talk about the rain and these orange and red shades here. But once we get into the purple, the brown to purple, that's where we're more than likely picking up some pretty intense hail. So again, outside our viewing area, Arkansas County, Dacia County, Dacia.
I believe it's Dacia. You
Dacia?
might have me on that one because I'm not sure. I believe it's Dacia County.
Sounds like Dacia. If you know, let us know.
Someone might know.
Jefferson, Lincoln, radar indicated threat for this to be ping pong ball size hail. So that's 1.5 inches in diameter. That's headed towards the. That's going to cause dents and dings in your car. It's not going to blow out whole windshields, so that's good, but we might see, maybe if you have a chip in your windshield, you might see a crack from that hail that's coming in. This is a radar indicated threat presently. One of the things that they mentioned here that I want to reiterate is people and animals caught outdoors will be injured. It's not just it's going to hurt, it will injure you if you're outside in this kind of hail. So if you're in the DeWitt area, if you know someone in the DeWitt area, if you're in Phillips County, Arkansas here, go ahead and call the cat in, call the dog back in, get them inside so they can be sheltered. Some folks think, oh, they'll figure it out. They'll know how to hide under a tree. I mean, as they're dashing to a shelter outside, they can sometimes get knocked on the noggin by hail. So, of course, you just protect your pets, folks. I'll get off my soapbox for that. But this is the sort of the next storm that we're looking at. And Trevor's been mentioning in great detail just the environment that is south of here. That's what the National Weather Service was continuing that tornado possible tag on our severe thunderstorm that's moving here through western Shelby County into Fayette County. They were keeping that tag on that severe thunderstorm warning just because of the environment. Out of an abundance of caution. That's one thing that I'm personally working to, fighting against is a cognitive bias of yesterday to now comparing to today. We've got to treat every single warning with the same level of intensity as it could still be the worst day of your life for one person. So we want to bring that information to you with the same level of respect as we would bring anything we saw yesterday. Of course, yesterday we've already had some preliminary surveys of EF3 damage in Selmer up there in McNairy County, and then also up towards Lake City in Arkansas here, preliminary reports of EF3 damage up in Lake City as well. You can see right there, that's where a large debris ball and a very large tornado rolled through. And of course, we've also heard some fatality reports recently as well. We're still collecting some of the latest info on some of those fatalities, on some of the impacts from these storms. This is going to be something that the numbers will change and they will be difficult to update consistently or completely. It's not going to be a complete view right away. So if you give us time, all the folks on the news side of things, you know, Trevor and I have been sort of the only two people you've been following. Quick update, that severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire. So that's some good news here. Trevor, you want to just stay here on stream?
What I would like to do is do just a quick recap of maybe a little bit of what's happened yesterday.
Yeah. I was starting to drop into that and was like, oh, let's update that.
Sure, we can talk about it. And then maybe a little bit about this flooding threat here while we're here. Just because we don't have another newscast for the next hour and a half. So I want to try to get some of that info out. But yeah, if you want to wrap up your thought there, and then I can talk a little bit about that. And we can maybe take a break from the stream. We do have a newscast coming up at 9 p.m. So, and of course, we're not going anywhere. We both had some good food, so no lunch break for us today. We're going to be around. I don't want you to think we're like running out of the building and not looking at radar at all. So we have a very close eye on things. But yeah, if you want to maybe get one more look at that storm. I think somebody on Facebook was looking for a track on it. That storm near DeWitt, as it comes a little closer. Maybe if you want to do that, and then we can
good idea.
Kind of wrap things up over here.
Yeah, so looking at that storm from DeWitt, you can see, I'll get the info on screen. Of course, this is, again, not our viewing area technically, but until 8:15, so we'll likely see it moving into parts of our viewing area around that time, just after 8. This is moving northeast at around 55 miles per hour. I always think of the old ZZ Top song whenever I see 55. It is just ingrained in my head. Some great marketing from them. So let's just track. I'm going to put sort of a slice through the middle of this storm where the hail is most likely, and we'll pull it all the way out to Helena, West Helena, just to give a long lead time in case this hail moves in. So just getting into our area, we'll call it from Crockett's Bluff around 7:52. Just after that is where we'll see that getting into parts of our viewing area in far southern Phillips County. So the Catron area there around 8 o'clock. Marvell around 8:12, Friars Point around 8:23, Helena, West Helena, you're looking around 8:30 or so. So we've got about an hour lead time on that particular thunderstorm, possibly bringing some strong winds and damaging hail as well. I would maybe shave off about 10 minutes off that because I just didn't draw it exactly on the lead edge. So we'll call it 7:45, Helena, West Helena. You need to be ready to be inside for that thunderstorm. Cheryl, appreciate your comment as well. Understanding that area residents may have questions when weather is severe. Yeah, I wish we could have had more of this question and answer time yesterday. Of course, when we were in the thick of it with, I don't know, half a dozen tornado warnings all at once, we would not have been able to give these questions attention, but we want to keep that in mind. But what I was sort of starting to say, and Trevor, we can tag team this as well. Let's just sort of recap what's been going on across the area. Of course, you're watching us here on YouTube and on Facebook and on 24 Plus, our streaming app, which is free to download. If you don't have it, it's free on all smart TVs, Amazon Fire Stick, your Roku, Apple TV. You've got it there. You can watch us live anytime. We've got, of course, the 24th floor. Excuse me. Avery Braxton, our sports anchor, he's got his own show there as well. You can watch that every week. You can watch 24 This Week, our local politics show for the Memphis area. I know Pepper Baker has been working hard on that. In between all of this severe weather, we've got so much more happening in the newsroom. It's not just been me and Trevor here. Of course, Pepper Baker, our anchor, our many reporters that have been out there. Some new reporters that have added onto our team as well, so appreciate their work today, as well as everyone in production, everyone in digital who has been helping us. Of course, our managers, our team who have been spearheading everything that you don't see. There's a couple dozen folks here that have been putting this together, and we appreciate every single one of them. We haven't said it enough, but we do appreciate them. I ought to go through and just look at the wall of all our employees and write down everyone's name to give them a verbal shout out. But, well, Trevor, I think we should, let's just start at the recap of when did we start on air tomorrow? I think we had that scheduled 2:30 live stream.
So interestingly enough, actually, when I first got in today, I did take a pause from this morning. I did take a break from, gosh, I think I left at 6 a.m. So I recorded some weather for the morning show and the midday newscast just because things were relatively quiet. I worked 27 hours, so I had to step away for a second, but I'm in person live now. And when I got in today, the first thing I kind of did, yeah, I'm here, real, not a hologram, although a hologram might have helped yesterday, kind of a double. The first thing I did is I kind of did a big recap, and Kid, I haven't even gotten the chance to talk to you about this yet. It's just been, jumped right into it today, but I kind of went back through the warnings that we had issued and the reports that came in, and I went one by one, and I kind of wrote up an article on it. And just kind of talk minute by minute about what happened. So I've kind of even got timestamps here. So it's funny that you bring that up because we can go through and go through yesterday minute by minute. And of course, many communities and neighborhoods were just absolutely devastated by these storms. And these are just some of the storm reports from yesterday. There are so many that the National Weather Service is still having to go through and kind of filter through them. So this map is going to light up a lot more. But we had a tornado watch that came out at about 2:30 or 3. We were slated to have a press conference with the Memphis Police Department at about 2:30. They were going to talk about the severe weather threat for yesterday. And then from that point, we were going to talk a little bit about the weather. And it turned out during that press conference, we had our first thunderstorm warning issued. So we went on our digital stream at about 2:30. And we stayed on constantly until I think we went off right at 4 a.m., 4 or 4:30 in the morning. So we did about 4:15. So we did almost 14 hours straight of coverage. And Kit, I appreciate you. Kit took the last about hour, I think, because my voice was gone. I was extremely exhausted, and I had to get ready for our morning broadcast. So, Kit, I appreciate that. But, yeah, this all started around 3 o'clock. And if you remember, we had several tornado warnings that started off, and no confirmed touchdown with those. So we went about, 2 to 3 hours with warnings, but no touchdown. And then it was about 6 o'clock that we got this line of thunderstorms. It really wasn't even a line. It was more of a line of supercells that set up.
Some chaser vernacular for is a string of pearls. I've taken a seat here too.
Yeah.
He's over there. He's got a seat, so I pulled up one for myself. They sometimes call this a string of pearls of supercells, and I saw a loop afterwards that it was just this one after the other, after the other, after the other. It was just a quick loop of, I think, 6 supercells just outside of our viewing area in Southwest that were starting to lift into our area. And I think we were pretty hyper-focused on northern Mississippi at the time, Trevor. So
Yeah.
I didn't even see that on radar,
Yeah.
but that would have had my gut sink through my pants.
Yeah, and when I caught that coming in, we had some warnings in North Mississippi, but when we caught that, it was serious. And by about 6 o'clock, that started to creep into the area. So we had tornado warnings, I think, at about the same time. They all went up for Poinsett, Cross, St. Francis, Lee, and Phillips, almost all at the same time. And it was about then that we had a tornado touchdown in Poinsett County. And this was actually our first tornado of the day. A law enforcement officer caught it in Poinsett County and shared it with us. This is near Fisher, which, if you remember, it seems like a year ago now, but Sunday night we had more severe weather. We were here tracking it, and we had a tornado touchdown in this same area. So this was the beginning of what was going to be a very strong tornado. This touchdown in Poinsett County near Fisher, and it tracked all the way through Poinsett County. Thankfully, it kind of weaved between the towns. It missed Harrisburg. It did come pretty close to Truman, though. And that was when, at about 6:06, we took that traffic camera, if you remember, and we watched the tornado actually cross the Interstate 555 in Truman. We didn't have any major damage in Truman, but from there, the tornado grew in intensity. This became a tornado emergency, which was probably the rarest form of warning issued. And that's when it hit Lake City, Arkansas. And Lake City is just devastated with damage this morning. Thankfully, we don't have any reports of injuries out of Lake City, at least serious injuries. But we've had reporters there that are going through these homes that are just forever torn apart and changed. And while we were tracking this tornado that was hitting a town, we had 3 more tornadoes touch down. And we're going to have to go back and analyze this, but I believe there was a time that we had 4 tornadoes on the ground at one time in eastern Arkansas, because we had one in Lee County, we had another one follow behind it in Truman, and then we had another one in Cross County near Wynn. We were very concerned for Wynn for a couple of minutes because we just hit 2 years since those deadly tornadoes in 2023. It missed Wynn, thankfully. And then after that, we kind of got a break. We had several hours where we didn't have a single confirmed tornado. To be honest with you, I kind of thought we were done with it, at least the worst of it. And then it was about 11 o'clock. It blew up again. 11:15 p.m. we had a tornado warning for Bolivar. We had a tornado warning for Marshall County. We had a tornado that touched down near Walnut, Mississippi, and that continued into Grand Junction. And then that one also came pretty close to Middleton, Tennessee. Now remember Middleton, because we're going to come back to that later. And then really at 12:30 last night, I guess 12:30 this morning, I should say, is where the worst of this weather kind of hit us. At 12:30, that storm that we were talking about near Middleton continued into McNairy County. And it was just after 12:30 that Selmer was hit. And we understand there are multiple fatalities in Selmer. From a dangerous tornado that went through there, and we're getting videos there of neighborhoods and apartment buildings that were just absolutely leveled by this tornado. Again, that one's in EF3, but at the same time, we had a tornado come through Senatobia, Mississippi. That was in Tate County. So Selmer was getting hit at the same time as Senatobia. We had damage in Senatobia that they haven't been even able to survey yet because of the storms now happening today. And so that was kind of the worst part of it, Kit. We had those 2 at the exact same time, in Senatobia and Coldwater, and then in Selmer as well. Both were awful storms.
A couple of comments here on our Facebook and YouTube live streams, but I have some remarks on that, and I want to rewind back to the Lake City tornado, of course. First off, I'll do the Lake City. We had a tornado emergency at that point. That is a rare tornado warning. Of course, we kind of preach, treat every warning the same. Tornado emergency, or even flash flood emergency, which is kind of on the table for the next couple of days. Whenever we say emergency, that is it kind of gives you chills thinking about what that means. From the definition, usually these kinds of warnings are issued for an imminent observed violent tornado that is heading into a populated area. So, Lake City was in that, Selmer was in that. I believe Selmer was under the emergency.
If they weren't, it was close.
It was either downstream or they may have extended it as well. But then, of course, we had that second tornado emergency across northern Mississippi and southwestern Tennessee. That was the second time. And whenever we were talking about these storms, we were talking about debris signatures. Yeah. And it was funny, Trevor, we had said that, or you had directed that there was going to be the storm on the north that was forming here in Poinsett County, and then there was the one, I think it was down here in Lee or St. Francis County, one of the two. You said that was going to be my storm and that was going to be your storm, and then that storm took off and mine weakened, which is odd. It's unusual for a northern storm to become the dominant storm because, all of the energy was pulling in from the south. And so usually if one storm is getting that energy pulled into it, well, that sort of interrupts it for the storms north, and those usually weaken. I would love to see a research paper on this, or at least an explanation from the Storm Prediction Center on that.
I'm sure there will be one. I think you mentioned it yesterday during the coverage. This will be an event that's studied. Meteorology students are going to hear about this. They're gonna have to look at this and analyze why this happened. And if it could happen again. And that's kind of what we do in meteorology school is we look at old events and we learn from them and we say, how did we make this not happen again? We have people's lives that are forever changed from these storms yesterday. And our job and our goal is to have that not ever happen again. We cannot prevent the weather. We cannot change the weather. We cannot control the weather. But we can inform you about it. And help you make decisions to keep you and your family safe. But I mean, this was an insane, in the worst way, tornado outbreak. And we were kind of talking about Selmer got hit at the same time Senatobia got hit. And then that Senatobia storm followed up almost the same path behind it. And it hit Sladen, Mississippi. And then it hit Middleton, Tennessee. And you can almost see on my map here of these storm reports. Right here, if we could take weather 1 here. This is the report of the storm, the tornado near Senatobia there. And again, this is around 12:30. This thing crossed Interstate 22 near Victoria at about 1 in the morning. And then it went up towards Sladen, Mississippi. This is where we had a tornado emergency once it hit Sladen. And then it came to Middleton, Tennessee, in southern Hardeman County. And that is when we got this photo from our North Mississippi storm chasers and spotters. And this is a partnership we've had with them. The radar can only show you so much, and it is hard to have, some people explain what the radar is seeing. If you are not an expert in meteorology or you don't watch the weather a lot, you don't know what these colors mean. And I know a lot of us around here do because, we have weather a lot. And I grew up knowing what all the radar colors mean. But we have people that move here. I get messages all the time from people that have moved from Canada. They don't even know what the radar is supposed to mean. But everybody knows what that means, that picture means. And so that's what I think is so important and why we have this partnership with the storm chasers and why we have these new weather cameras. You might have noticed that. We've been using our new weather cameras recently because it's easier to show you what's happening as we would see it than to try to describe to you what happens on the radar when there's just so many colors. Of course, we can kind of use both in tandem, but that's kind of our new partnership with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers. So that tornado came near Middleton. It passed really close to LaGrange, and it was in LaGrange with this tornado in Fayette County before it got here that it had hit someone's mobile home. It had flipped the mobile home, and what we understand is that a father and a daughter died in that mobile home that was flipped. And when you see that tornado and you realize that at this point it was deadly, it's almost hard to look at. You just don't even want to look at what Mother Nature can do. It's scary. It's frightening. You understand why people are scared of weather, and it's tough to deal with. It's sometimes hard for us to stand up here. I mean, we did 14 hours, I think I said, of tornado coverage. It's hard
to
for us
stand up as we're sitting.
Yeah, it's hard to look at that and then say, okay, well, on to the next one. It's tough on us, and I just feel like I need to share that with you, and that you should know that we do empathize with you. And I know sometimes it doesn't come off that way when we're saying, okay, this storm is a deadly tornado, but now we have to talk about the other thing. It's a struggle for us to kind of go through that. So I just want to kind of open up and share that with you. And then, Kit, a statistic for you.
I love statistics.
I know you do love statistics. Yesterday, and I wish I could have made a map on this. I was going to work on this, and then we had the warnings come up.
Yeah,
The National Weather Service, over the last 24 hours, issued a total of 49 tornado warnings.
Just tornado warnings?
Just tornado warnings.
Okay.
Now, the record for one day for the Memphis Weather Service office is 49. However, it's tricky because this passed over midnight.
Okay.
So this was over 2 days. So I'm going to try to find a way I can
get... As a 24-hour period?
As a 24-hour period. What was the most tornado warnings in a 24-hour period? But when you look at that list, I mean, even I think we had 34 before the clock hit midnight. That was still in the top 10. And it was up there with April 2011, February 2008. I mean, this puts this up there with one of the most serious tornado outbreaks that we have ever had.
So the April 2011, for those who aren't weather nerds, that follow every single outbreak since from the history books and from when they were born, April 2011 is when we had the, we call it a super outbreak.
Yeah.
Like yesterday was an outbreak of tornadoes. We're not going to discount that. Outbreak just means an abundance of tornadoes with high intensity, with widespread, many simultaneous, and not just in our viewing area. This is one thing that, one, as a weather nerd, and two, just as someone who wants to be aware of things, I don't know what happened outside of our viewing area. There were tornado warnings well outside of our viewing area that we couldn't pay attention to. Yes, we were the focus with the high risk, but there was the Storm Prediction Center outlooks went all the way up into southern Michigan. So there could very well be more. I remember hearing a report from ABC that there was an EF1 or EF0 in Missouri.
I think we had one near Nashville, too.
Okay, even near Nashville. I remember seeing a couple of tornado warnings that direction, so that makes sense. But a super outbreak is an upper echelon of just the magnitude, not just of one day, but of multiple days across entire regional blocks of the country. 1974 super outbreak. That is one for the history books that it really goes down. Palm Sunday tornado, I think, was part of an outbreak as well. I can't remember. I think that was in the 60s.
Yep.
Then the 2011 super outbreak is the most recent one we've had. If you Google Tuscaloosa EF4, that'll be the video of the day for that day. I think the one out of Lake City is going to be the video
for sure.
of that. Brandon Koptic also had on his chase incredible view of that. I want to ask, speaking of the video, I want to ask our producer, no rush on it, but if you can pull up the video of the I-555, both of its, the video as it crossed and the pause, and then the Lake City video.
I was thinking about that. I wish we could have pulled some of this in before. I didn't honestly expect to have a debrief on this, but I do think it's important to do, and I think it's good to talk about this as it happened, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing today, is kind of debriefing and talking about it. So if we can get those videos, we can take a look at some of those. But I do just want to kind of do one final recap. Again, 49 tornado warnings issued yesterday. That was had to have been close to a record for the Memphis National Weather Service office. And then we had several communities that are in our area that are forever going to be changed by this. I mean, this is the same thing that happened a couple of years ago with Wynn and Covington and McNairy County back then. I mean, those communities are still rebuilding. Wynn has not opened their new high school. Covington has not opened their new schools yet. They're still working on those. So it is, it's going to be a tough tough time. I want to show you some of these videos really quick. This is, we'll start with the lake. Well, actually, let's start with the interstate one because that's kind of the first one in this sequence. This is the one over the traffic camera that passed live on TV. We watched this live on TV happen.
If you want to put it in the green screen, I can sort of point out what they're.
I mean, that's.
Yeah, no need to point it out.
I saw that on TV, and to be honest with you, I went back and watched it back, and I didn't even realize. I almost screamed when I saw this, but that was just such a natural reaction. I mean, when you look at that and you see that and you realize that's in Truman, Arkansas, and that is in a town, you can almost only shout. And Kit, you didn't see it at the time. I don't think you saw it with the first flash until we re-racked it, but I caught that with that lightning strike behind it, and so your heart just sinks.
What we had seen previously, and this is what was so jarring about Trevor. If you have the video of it before the still image, we've got that other one as well, but we had seen the tornado over here, and it just had this, let's pull that one up here. We'll pull that one up here. Not this one. This was the other.
That's what it turned into.
That's what it turned into.
Which is crazy. I mean, you look from one to the other, and you can see that was in a matter of what, probably 10 minutes between these two that it turned from what we saw on the traffic camera into that.
So while we're here. Okay, this is all Haley has.
Yeah, that'll
Haley,
work.
Thank you. Of course, we saw initially that very thin, narrow one, and it was dark against the background. Can we go back just to the Arkansas DOT so I can talk about that for a brief moment? Here we go. So we were looking over these trees over here, and there was just this snake of a shadow over here, and Trevor keenly picked that out very quickly. We were dancing between cameras. I was trying to find other cameras over on our weather system to see this from, and he called it out. He's like, there's the tornado. It's right there. It's just right this snake. And it was like, oh, we've got the tornado. And then it just went into this dark zone. Of course, we were looking north, so it's not backlit. In chasing, there's a very dangerous part of the storm to be chasing, and it's right inside the hook. But you get a good view of it with the backlights of everything south being clear, but we're looking north where all of the heavy rain is, and that's under the whole column of the thunderstorm, so it's very dark. Then we presumed it had crossed. We saw a radar update, so the velocity couplet was then passed, and then that's when Trevor saw that flash. And Trevor, I heard your reaction on that, and my eyes then flicked back up. Of course, TV is never exactly live, a little behind the curtain. We have about a 5 to 15 second delay on our channels. So I flashed up to see what was live and saw that myself, and I also gasped. I don't think my mic was up, but you just see that cone tornado. It quickly developed. Whenever we talk about tornadoes, there's different classifications. There's all sorts of different snowflakes out there too. We like to classify things in the weather world, but we had a rope tornado. So this is now a cone tornado. And Haley, if we can get that other Lake City video now, we got to a wedge tornado.
That was literally, from what you're seeing there to what we're about to show you was 10 minutes. Yeah. From Truman to Lake City, that's what that turned into. And I mentioned this on air when we saw it, but you see that in Nebraska. If you told me that was in Nebraska, Kearney, Nebraska, I'd believe it.
Trevor, do you want to just join me over at the wall?
Yeah.
we can both point it out of what we're talking about here. I'll just move this away. You can go onto our YouTube channel and you can watch a short video of, I was breaking this down at the 10 o'clock time frame, and the YouTube comments, never go into the YouTube comment section, I understand, but some were giving me some flack about how I was describing it. I want to slightly defend it, but not necessarily say that it was a good thing. That when I was describing it, I said it as both beautiful and terrifying. I say that as a matter of this is what I've studied, it's what I love, it's what I enjoy.
It's almost awesome in the worst way. It gives you awe when you look at that.
And so, like, whenever we're saying stuff like this, of course, we are completely empathetic to everyone who has been impacted by this, but it's more just the power of nature that we are just struck by. So that's what I meant by that. I apologize if I offended anyone by describing it as such, but you can just see how this storm is just rotating so quickly across the wall cloud here. There were power flashes with that.
Yeah, that's not lightning. That's where it's knocking down the transformers and the relays there that are connected to the power lines. That's why it's flashing from the ground, because it's tearing up the power grid.
Yeah,
as it goes through.
And so anytime we see this, of course, one thing we can be grateful of, I haven't heard any reports of a death from this tornado.
I haven't heard of it, even any serious injuries, which is a miracle. This is a very powerful tornado, an EF3. If that was an EF4, I wouldn't be surprised. The thing is, you can't rate the tornado unless it hits something.
Right.
So we have a lot of controversy in the weather world because we have these massive tornadoes that radar is measuring 300-mile-an-hour winds that would classify it to be an EF5, but because it was in the middle of the field, they can't make it an EF5. So, I mean, this could have been a 4 at this time, but if it was in the open field and they don't have any damage to survey, they won't be able to call it that.
The one thing I'll give it is that it hit a transformer.
Yeah.
We know it
Yes,
hit that.
we
So
do.
it did hit
Yeah.
something at this point. So we'll have a survey for that potentially. But whenever you see open fields like this, there's sort of I'll call it a joke. I don't like to joke about things. I'll move this out of the way. You can see a little better. The joke is we pray for a wedge tornado in a fallow field that has no farmhouse.
Yeah. I mean, that's when that's what, you know, if you're going to look at tornadoes and study tornadoes, you want them in an open field. You don't want them hitting anything. And thankfully, this tornado was on the ground for a very long time. I mean, this started in Poinsett County. It missed Harrisburg. It generally missed Truman. It was just north of Truman. And unfortunately, I believe it missed mostly Monette, but it did hit Lake City. But if there's any good news out of this tornado is, again, like you said, in Lake City, no major injuries or fatalities. There are homes that are destroyed here and lives that are certainly forever changed. But you can rebuild a house, and we can be thankful for that in Lake City, that it was not more serious, because it could have been.
And I feel like when we saw this video, what was the first thing that went through your mind?
To be honest with you, I was worried that someone had sent us a video from 2 years ago from Oklahoma and was trying to pass it off as today. But then we got so many more videos. We were watching Storm Chasers, and it looked the same. I mean, that is you just don't see that around here. Even on March 31st, 2023, the tornado did not look like this necessarily. This just looks like a mean tornado, and it was.
So one thing, meteorologically wise, Trevor made a joke yesterday on mid coverage that I was handing out meteorology degrees.
Yeah, no, we like the knowledge and the science, and we like to talk to you about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so this kind of a tornado, it doesn't show up a lot in the deep south. The deep south alley, so to speak, is characterized by high precipitation supercells. This was a classic supercell. The low precipitation supercell is sort of the other end of the spectrum. And you usually see classic and low precip in the plains, into the western plains. Here we have high precipitation supercells where if you see, you've got that swirling on the big here, the big wide view all the way around to here. That's where we've got the mesocyclone pulling in. And here in the deep south, since we have so much moisture with the Gulf right next door, it usually will bring in a ton of rain, and you'll get this curtain of rain that then shrouds and obscures the tornado, so you can no longer see it. So you usually don't, like, sometimes we'll have this level of strength, this width of a tornado, but you won't see it like this. And this is one of the most dangerous parts of why the Deep South has such deadly tornadoes, because a lot of people can't see them coming. But it was shocking, exactly as Trevor said. It looked like it was from Oklahoma. It didn't look like it was from the Deep South. Of course, we got clear fields here too. So it's just every single picture that I ever looked at in college or from friends who chase in the Central Plains, this is that kind of a tornado. So it was shocking to see it in Arkansas. And unfortunately, this came at the end of the night. This was one of our last visuals of any tornadoes in our viewing area. Once we got into the overnight, that's when we started to see the storms becoming a little more obscured by the shroud of night.
Yeah, and Kit, just to kind of wrap all this up here, obviously for the next several days and several weeks and several months, these communities are going to need our help. They're going to need not only our thoughts, but also our actions. I mean, think about, we have Lake City, we have Senatobia, we have Sladen, we have Grand Junction, we have LaGrange, and we have Selmer, which might have been the strongest hit. So if you can find a way to pitch in and help out, do so. You know, I know we're good about that here in the South. We like to help our friends and neighbors, but we are going to try to pass along some ways you can help here in the coming days. I want to get back to the radar. We've got some worries in our Facebook comments, and I don't want anybody to be worried. There's nothing right now to be worried about. That's why we're not looking at the radar. These are plain old showers and some thunderstorms. I don't even know if Max Velocity and Ryan Hall are on this right now, because there's just nothing to be concerned with at this moment. I appreciate folks trying to help each other in the comments, but these are storms that are of no concern at the moment. You're worried about Ripley. Yes, we had some heavy rain come through, but you're really way north of the zone of where any severe weather would happen today, and it's almost over that shower that's come through there. So again, there are no warnings anywhere in the Mid-South. We do have some gusty wind, and we do have some heavy rain, but we don't have anything that is concerning right now, nothing to be alarmed about, nothing to be worried about at this moment. I know a lot of people are scared after yesterday, but just remember, yesterday doesn't happen all the time. That is a very rare event, and it doesn't happen constantly. So
count for 1%
yeah,
of severe
days
weather.
like yesterday are 1% of severe weather days. So if we got it yesterday, it's going to be a while before that comes back. So I want to ease your mind, because like I've said before, I grew up with storm anxiety, so I get it. We do have some showers and some heavy rain and some thunderstorms out there right now. Definitely some high wind gusts. We probably have wind gusts in here easily, 40, 50, 60 miles an hour. They're going to knock some things around, but we don't have any warnings that are in place anywhere in the Mid-South right now. What I'm most concerned about is the flooding, and we'll talk about that. I do want to get a quick update on this storm back here. This is the one we were watching about 20 minutes ago that we were really concerned about as it got a little closer. It's really lost a lot of its punch. I mean, this thing, I don't want to say it looks like junk, but it kind of looks like junk right now. I will track it out as it continues to fall apart. That's going to be off to the north and east. Another thunderstorm coming into Helena, West Helena by about 8:28. Hernando at 9:10, South Haven at 9:15. And Memphis by 9:22, but that storm has almost completely collapsed. And I think that's what's going to happen today. And I'll show you the storm energy here. I mean, even that has gone back down just a little bit. So all the storm energy is to our south. The further north these storms go, the more they're going to fall apart. So these storms are just not going to be able to have quite as much of a punch through the day today. Again, high winds, heavy rain, it's possible, but I don't want you to be worried about this. This is not unlike any other thunderstorm we've had before, just some regular old rain and wind for right now. What we are concerned about is the flooding, and I want to talk about that, and then we'll let you go so we can get ready for the 9 p.m. newscast here with another full update. But one more check of your rain accumulation, and I'm going to try to actually pull up the official map here that has the numbers on it. Let me see if I can find that for you.
I mean, we're just seeing radar estimated swaths, not just peaks, swaths of 6 inches there.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere in red, that's over 6 inches of rain. So we've had 6.5 inches of rain already recorded at the Memphis airport. 2.5 in Dyersburg, 4 in Covington, 5.5 in Bolivar. And our estimates are there could be another 4 to 6, maybe 7 inches of rain to come. We have serious flooding concerns already. We have a catastrophic flash flood warning for Memphis and the metro, and that is going to continue for the next few days. Now, for tomorrow, many of us will get a break from the rain. It's going to be mostly dry tomorrow, right? There could be a few thunderstorms. If they do pop up, they could be a bit stronger. But the highest risk for tomorrow is to our west out near Little Rock. Those storms are going to weaken as they come toward us, but we're going to watch things because any storm that could develop could be a little bit stronger. What I'm more concerned about is Saturday. That's when we're going to have several more rounds of heavy rain, possibly some strong storms, and that's what's going to add the extra 4 to 6 inches on top of this. So flooding is likely. If you live near a creek or a stream or a small river, it will likely rise. Those creeks are already flowing very quickly. So if you're in a flood zone, you know your area typically floods. Just be aware of that threat for the next few days and never drive through flood waters. We have a lot of roads that are already closed due to that flooding threat. So just take it easy. This will be gone by Sunday, and next week looks great. It will be nice and quiet, maybe a little bit of rain on a Wednesday, but most of next week, Sunday and next week, looks pretty quiet. So that's the update for now. Again, we're going to be back at 9 p.m. for a live newscast. Kit, you have anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No?
All right. Does that cover it? All right. Well,
well, just one last little thing.
Yeah.
Of course, we still have these flash flood warnings.
Yeah.
These are long duration things, and it's not going to be necessarily an imminent threat to your house unless you live near a stream or a creek. Of course, as we have more rain coming through, be aware. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be raining right away for the flash flooding to come through a creek. Sometimes a pond will spill over, or a levee may be breached, or maybe a dam is failing. So these are some of the things that from low impact to extreme impact we'll be keeping an eye on over the next couple of days. These are all baseline flash flooding, so low crossings of roads, streams, creeks, rivers, all that are going to be pretty swollen here, and especially in the Memphis area we'll likely see some flash flooding in that area. Trevor, that's all for me. You want to sign us off?
Yeah, I think we'll get on out of here. Again, we're going to be back at 9 p.m. I'll let Kit take the reins for that.
Go get sleep.
CW30 News at 9. I'll hang around here for just a little bit longer. Yeah, we will be back here in about an hour. If the weather threatens, of course, we'll be back sooner. I think we're in decent shape for right now. We'll watch things. I do want to let you know, tomorrow morning, you'll see a slightly unfamiliar face on ABC 24. We are getting an extra hand to help us out during this severe weather event. Tomorrow morning, like we said, most of tomorrow is nice and quiet. So I'm going to try to take a little bit of a breather tomorrow morning. So I will not be on the morning newscast. We will actually have meteorologist Julie Martin filling in for us. If you remember, she was on the Weather Channel for many, many, many years, a well-respected and very talented meteorologist. We're happy to have her with our company now, and what she's kind of doing is acting as a floating meteorologist. So any station that is in a situation where they're having extreme weather, she's able to help out there. So I will take a little bit of a reprieve tomorrow morning. You'll see meteorologist Julie Martin. She's great, and she's got the latest information there. We've already kind of been talking about the forecast for the next few days, and then meteorologist Kit Thomas will be in tomorrow evening. We're going to try to get him some time off coming up here soon, and I'll be back with him tomorrow evening, likely. If we do have any thunderstorms that develop. So for now, we'll get off of digital and our live stream on ABC 24+. We'll see you back here at 9 p.m. for the news on CW30 News right now.